Welcome to our first episode of a brand new program hosted by myself, Kirsten Mao of Who Gets the China, and my colleague Adrian Chung of Caregiving and also Caregiving. We decided that we wanted to create a new shared channel to try and share some of the wisdom and expertise we've learned over the last year or two about caring for aging parents. So, our new channel and program is going to be called Caregiving as a Practice. We want to find a place to share the tips, tricks, learning that we've discovered as we practice this role of caregiver, because it's not something that we were trained on. It's something that we are learning by the seat of our pants as we fly through it. And it's a practice, as with so many things in life. So, again, I'm Kirsten. I'm the host of Who Gets the China, and that's a podcast and Substack that aims to support those of us who are struggling to balance the needs of our aging parents with living our own best life. And we focus on pillars such as maximizing a lifetime of stuff, making good healthcare decisions, and managing family dynamics and relationships with aging parents. And I'm super excited to be joined by my friend and colleague, Adrian. Adrian, please introduce yourself.
Thanks very much, Kirsten. Very, very excited to be working with you on this. To everyone, my name is Adrian Chung, and I write under the Substack Caregiving Practically Speaking, and that's exactly how Kirsten and I met one another. In addition to that, I also develop content under adrian.caregiving, both here on YouTube and on Instagram, and my focus is really around caregiving, the responsibility that, in addition to the invisible work that families do behind the scenes. My work really explores how we care for someone we love while navigating family expectations, healthcare complexity, work, relationships, and our own lives living alongside it. So thank you, and really, really excited to be embarking on this collaboration with you.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to see where it takes us. We both work in healthcare or healthcare adjacent careers in our day-to-day life. And we bring a lot of that expertise, knowledge, insight. I work more in the communication side. I know you have more of a technical background and also a high tech background. But so it's really fun, I think, when we come together because we share these different perspectives. And also, you have a very different upbringing and family history than I have. So it's just really fun. I love that we get to share our different expertise and experiences and learn from one another and provide that support and also that comic relief a lot of the time, because sometimes you just have to laugh. So I'm looking forward to see where this will take us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's also not just kind of understanding that perhaps we have kind of come from different paths, but also the significant amount of commonality that we find in terms of both how we experience difficulties in terms of just our shared values and how we show up for our parents. I feel there's actually a lot more kind of shared experience and commonality across the board, which I love.
Yeah, I love that too. I think it is so neat. We've come to this from that same place of really wanting our parents to live as well as they can, as long as they can. And we both feel that sense of shared responsibility to show up for them. Even though we don't sometimes know what we're doing, we want to be there and try to make it as easy as possible. So right now, one of the things we do share is caring from afar. Your mother is obviously much farther away, as she is in Hong Kong and you are here on the West Coast. I am in Colorado and my family is also on the West Coast. But often I think it doesn't matter whether it's 2 hours or 12 hours distance. You are dealing with the same anxiety and stress and issues being a remote caregiver. So, what is one of the first things that comes to mind for you in terms of an emotional challenge of being a remote caregiver?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the challenges when we say distance, there's obviously the geographic one, which is the most obvious, but there's also a distance in terms of just communication, culture, environment, so many things that you can't see. And I feel that all those different layers really kind of drive the emotional reaction that you have that you're going through. So even just like most recently, and I was kind of mentioning this to you beforehand, my mom had shared some perspectives around sort of like formalizing medical directives, etc. And just from what she was saying, I could tell, someone's been maybe talking in her ear. And I'm trying to guess and triangulate what they're saying or who that individual might be and what perspectives they're bringing. So it's understood that there is a cultural difference and there's like a different individuals who also have a different experience, different viewpoints that are also kind of influencing your loved one, your care recipient. And so there is that kind of distance that also needs to be overcome. And I'd actually argue that maybe some of that cultural emotional gap actually drives a bit more anxiety than just knowing that your parent is a few thousand miles away. So that's been one of the things that has recently kind of caused a little bit of anxiety for me.
I think it's true no matter where you are, because one of the things we know is that if you're going to caregive from afar, you need a community. You
Right.
need multiple layers of supports, right? So the blessing of that is you have other people available to engage and show up in a crisis or support your family with whatever they need. But like you just said, also that person is on site. And
Right.
so their point of view, their value system, their recommendations might be louder at times.
Yeah.
And you don't always need that. Sometimes it's great to have a third voice or a fourth or a fifth, but sometimes that's not that helpful because you're trying to move forward down a particular path of, let's just say, caregiving or getting legal documents filled out or establishing a care plan. And all of a sudden you have somebody else that pops in and says, wait, I have a different way of doing it, better way of doing it. And maybe you don't like that way, or maybe that's not going to work for you. And so, like you're saying, sometimes it's not just about the physical distance, but also who's got the microphone at the moment and is having the greatest influence.
Yeah, and I mean, you nailed it when you said influence, because there are so many. We view that, hey, this is probably A is probably the best path for us to move forward with, but truth be told, it's like we don't really have visibility into actually what's happening on the ground, and so there is that less of that sense of maybe a loss of control and influence, and
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that things are probably not going to go the way that we hope automatically creates a level of anxiety that we end up having to kind of just manage and deal with and do the best with.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it feels like you're pushing on a string. You're trying to influence something, but it doesn't quite travel to where you want it to travel or go the way that you want, and you just kind of have to deal with the consequences and the ramifications. I mean, I was
Yeah.
thinking back to the story that you mentioned about your dad needing to see a provider, and all the planning that was made around when he's going to go, who he's going to go with, how he's going to get there, and then come the morning of, it's just very very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the key things I've really tried to learn and accept is managing expectations and letting go of expectations.
Right.
I am a person that likes to plan. I like to know how things are going to happen. It matters to me that I have a sense of control. And that is often not possible when we're caregiving
Yeah.
or just even dealing with parents in general in life, of course, but particularly with aging parents, I feel because things happen. Illnesses crop up or curveballs get thrown. And this isn't really a remote caregiving experience, but it's a recent experience where my parents actually came to visit. And we were all together as an entire family, my sister and her kids, my husband and my kids. And the only thing that I wanted was a group photo. I just wanted a nice family photo of everybody together. And it kind of came together last minute. So I was trying to hire somebody, but I couldn't. And my husband said, it's okay. We'll just bring our good camera. We'll get the tripod, we'll set it up, we'll get there early to this really nice restaurant. I picked out this beautiful spot. Everybody had their hair done and looked nice. And we get to the restaurant, and of course, we're all running late because when you're dealing with your older parents, you're going to be running late, right? People can't find their wallet, can't find their phone, things take longer. And so we get there and we have, like, instead of 30 minutes, like 10 minutes to spare before our dinner reservation. And we just couldn't really find the right spot. And then we were trying to use the camera and the tripod. And of course, we haven't used it in years, so that really didn't work. And like the whole thing just went to hell in a handbasket. And so we finally found some young man to just take a picture with his iPhone. And like it didn't really pan out. But I was able to know that that might happen this time and just manage my expectation. And we ended up getting one cute picture of my mom and the grandkids, and I used Chat GPT to get the hideous cars out of the background, and it's fine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But like you just have to constantly be ready for that curveball and not get emotionally attached to an outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel that any sense of perfectionism just goes out of the window. There are just like so many variables, so many uncertainties, so many things out of your control that as caregivers, we really are flying by the seat of our pants. Because what could be really, really important and seem utterly crucial today could be completely irrelevant tomorrow. And I've encountered that both from like a kind of more medical perspective. So a few years ago, my mom had a surgery, and we were really worried that she had to have basically an ice hose attached to the joint to kind of circulate cold water, remove the inflammation. And the doctor just kept on, the surgeon was like, this is really, really important. Did it for about 2 days, and then it was completely irrelevant because the swelling had gone down and something else became a focus. So you're always having to pivot on a dime.
Right.
You're always having to like be here one day, be there the next. So which is kind of unfortunate because I think both of us are planners. We like structure, and we like to leverage structure to try and contain some of that chaos. But chaos really just bounces all around the place, and sometimes you're just having to flex and be adaptable in the moment, and not necessarily kind of rely on what you hope, on what you anticipate and prepare for.
So, what is one tool or technology that you have found to help you maintain as much control as possible, or at least the facade of it?
I mean, this is interesting because this is something that I've been working on. And at the very beginning, you'd mentioned Caregiving, which is a platform. It's a mobile app that I'm building as a form of technology to really help caregivers manage that coordination, manage where you store your records, manage making sure that you have what you need right there and then. But really, up until this point, we had just been relying on text threads and WhatsApp to communicate, to share documents, share PDFs, and that has worked so far ish, okay enough. But I know it's not really a long-term solution. But I think one of the appeals of something like WhatsApp is because it's a tool that your parents are already, say, using perhaps. And so it's very natural for them to go in and figure out exactly how to use it and, share information, share documentation. So that's been something that has really helped me. What technology tool platforms have you found helpful?
Well, the Ring camera and Alexa.
Right.
I think having the ability to do video communication and also just witness the goings on, who's coming, who's going, seeing what's happening. If somebody's coming to the door, we had an episode where we needed to call paramedics to come and check on my parents, and I could at least see what was happening from where I was. Of course, we have iPhones that have FaceTime on them, but that I don't find always works. Sometimes my mom can't hold the phone in the place where it needs to be. I'm looking at her ear while we're FaceTiming or things like that. So I think sort of I've liked having fixed devices that are just there and available all the time. It just gives me peace of mind. Like, I don't know if they have peace of mind about it, but it gives me peace of mind knowing that if I need to in an emergency, as there was, I'm able to kind of get a sense of what's going on. And I know we don't have this in our dynamic, but as people get older and maybe dementia sets in or things like that, people can sometimes go wander, right? They decide to go take a walk. You might not. So I think a lot of people have expressed, should that ever become a thing, it's nice to also be able to see not just who's coming into the house, but who's leaving.
Right.
So those are things that I've found pretty useful.
Yes. General movement and whereabouts are I mean, another thing that I found very useful is just sharing one's location on
Hmm.
your iPhone. And I mean, I feel that we are so, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, so attached to our devices. And I know that my mum is on her phone all the time, and she has group WhatsApp chats and threads, and she's using her phone all the time. So I know that where the phone is like 95% sure that that's where she
Yeah.
is. And having the ability just to follow her location and okay, she's within the general vicinity of like where she normally goes for her habits is assuring versus if she's something on the other side of the city. It's like, huh, what are you doing there? So that's also another technology that's helpful.
Absolutely. Even this morning, the episode that you were referring to, I knew we had a doctor's appointment. I knew it started at a particular time. I didn't know who was going. So I just jumped on, find my friends, and I could see that where they were. And interestingly, my dad's phone didn't appear to be with him, like you said. So assuming that they take it with them, but at least I had that peace of mind in the moment of knowing, okay, they're getting where they need to go. It's fine. And I mean, there can be, my mom had a car accident and she's fine, but it's scary in that moment. And
Mhm.
so I was so glad to have my location access turned on
Right.
for her so I could see, well, where are you? If we need to get paramedics there, like what do we need to do? And I think my parents are fine with that. Like they don't feel that I'm invading their privacy and I'm
Right.
not trying to like track them. It's just in those moments of need, having that availability is peace of mind.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, to that, one of the questions that I had also was, have you thought or entertained home care or a home health aide or someone that you have a more kind of direct line into to actually kind of come in and assist your parents while also sharing objectively, like, this is what's going on at home, communicating that back to you, and then you can be like, oh, okay, sure, mom is doing this, maybe next time we should try doing XYZ instead and see if that helps. Is that something that you've ever considered, or perhaps your parents have been open to?
I'm laughing because, yes, I have been considering it for years now. They have not been considering it really. But I will
Right.
say, one of the lessons that I think we've both learned is you need to start the conversation early and
Mm,
know that for the most part, things are not going to be decided immediately, right? These are
right.
transitions, these are changes that happen slowly. So, my sister and I have been advocating for quite some time. We would really like you guys to have somebody come in once a week, just someone else who can help just check in. How's everything going? Are you eating well? Are you getting all your doctor's appointments scheduled? And it's been a very rough sell, not going to
Right.
lie.
Yeah.
And I really needed to vet the people and make sure we found someone who was a good personality fit. And it's taken quite some time, but we do finally have a lovely person who comes in just once a week for a few hours. But
Right.
it gives us peace of mind knowing that like somebody's coming to check in and somebody with some skill who can kind of report back if something seemed amiss or there were concerns. It's not an everyday situation, but for me, it's like the gateway drug. I'm
Mm,
hoping that they see the benefit, right? And
right.
so, I would you rather stay in your home with help or have to move to a different type of living facility? They're not particularly keen on that right now.
Right.
So at least having somebody come in the house once a week is very helpful. What about you? Does your mom accept that kind of help?
Um, so yes, and actually, it's almost kind of formed part of the foundations of how we've managed her care from afar. And I think this is also just like the cultural element. So she has a cleaner that comes in twice a week, and she's been doing it for about 25 years. So there's like a
Pearl,
level
right?
exactly right. It's
Yeah.
like start them early, right?
Yes.
Um, and in I mean, it's like Pearl is her name, and
Yeah.
I've written about her on Substack, and
Yeah.
that you've seen. And
I love Pearl. I want to meet Pearl.
Pearl is amazing. And so Pearl, her husband is also a fisherman, and so every time she comes over, she brings a fresh fish, steams it for my mom with vegetables. So for my mom, it's as much a perk as it is practical that somebody is coming in and making sure that her home is clean, sheets are changed, etc. But yes, we started very very kind of early with her, and I think culturally that's just very, very accepted in East
Mm-hmm.
Asia, that someone kind of comes in and helps out. Um, so that. I think it meant that the barrier to that happening was like remarkably quite low. Um, I'm just wondering that maybe perhaps for your parents, like how, like what is the barrier? What is the hurdle that you think might be able to kind of get them through? So some of the stories that I've heard is family members perhaps asking like, a family friend to pop in. It's like, oh, do you remember Derek? Like we went to high school together. He still lives in your vicinity. How do you feel about him and his wife popping in every, 2 weeks on like a social call? They just want to say hi and sort of like disguise it or
Mm-hmm.
ease them in, or so and so is somebody that I work with, and he'd be willing to come in once a week and help you out with like X, helping out with the gardening specifically, or helping out with this maybe project in the garage that you're working on. I'm just trying to think of like other
Yeah.
different wedges or different ways you can kind of try and bring
I
someone
think
in.
that it's smart because I work in marketing, and your strong marketing communications should be about the benefit.
Right.
What are you getting in exchange for this service or item? And you're right, the benefit can be helping you get some things accomplished, socializing with somebody who's lovely that you know. And we have a friend from our neighborhood who lives near them, and she works in senior caregiving. And so we kind of started down that path. And she's lovely. She's really sweet. So having her come over was like a nice benefit, right? Because here
Right.
they got to engage with somebody that was young and bubbly and fun and not some scary, I don't know,
Right.
stranger that
Sure.
might be coming over to impose their will. And I am just calling up some bad stereotypes of like Nurse Ratchet or whatever. But
Right.
nobody wants someone taking over your lifestyle or being too involved in your day to day life. So, like you said, just kind of making it be this is a benefit to you. Like it's a nice person to come over and check in on you. They can help you with your sewing project, right? Like it's not administering medication or any kind of very technical support. And so I think you're right, like finding that pathway in with someone who's non-threatening, not
Hmm.
overbearing, but really just providing some support can build success, and then you can layer on top of that should the need arise. I mean, maybe it won't, but maybe it will.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting trying to navigate sort of the emotions and the thoughts that your parent is going through and experiencing, and trying to kind of work within that, work and
Mm-hmm.
weave whatever you think is optimal or better, or into that mindset to kind of convince them to actually do it. Um, I mean, I would absolutely love to hear any suggestions from our audience around exactly how to
Yes.
do that. Like, what has worked for you? I feel that I don't know if there's like a universal cheat sheet for all of us, but the more ideas, please keep them coming.
Because as we said, caregiving is a practice, and we are
Right.
practicing it together. And we know that it helps to have other expert voices in the room to help you improve your practice. And we would love to have comments, suggestions. Tell us what we don't know. Tell us what you know. Drop it in the chat. Leave us a message. We are happy to learn from experts who've struggled and come out the other side and can share their wisdom with us.
Absolutely. Cool.
Well, that is going to wrap it up for our inaugural episode of Caregiving as a Practice. And if there's topics you'd like us to cover and bring our collective wisdom and expertise to for a next episode, drop it in the chat or the messages. And we look forward to seeing you next time on episode number 2.
Amazing. Thanks, everybody.